This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of May 30th, 2022. And just like last week, I'm recording this podcast just a little bit early because I've got the Memorial Day holiday off. And so I want to make sure that this podcast is available for those of you who prefer to listen to it on Mondays. I hope that you've got the day off. And if you don't, well, then I guess I'm grateful for you because you're probably working so that somebody else doesn't have to. So thank you very much for that. The subject of this week's podcast is come back to pay TV. And I know this is going to sound kind of weird because we've been talking for a lot of years about how streaming is going to take over everything. It's all going to be streaming. And I've never 100% bought that because the value proposition is the issue. You know, it was one thing when you were paying $10 for Netflix and getting just about everything there was. But if you think about how much you're spending on streaming subscriptions, chances are it's close to $100, which is a lot of money. And it's probably not worth it. I rail on Netflix for not being worth it. And it seems like a lot of people are coming around to that same kind of feeling, which is why they're losing subscribers and they're trying to come up with different ways to enhance their revenue. Folks, don't be fooled. When they say enhance their revenue, they mean charge you more. This is for a service that's already $20 a month for a 4K subscription. That's kind of crazy if you ask me. And I suggest to you that you cancel a lot of your streaming subscriptions. They're just not necessary. Go down to the free version of Peacock. If you're paying for Peacock, you are not getting your money's worth. I hate to say it. No disrespect meant for those people, but the exclusives are just not necessarily there. The ad-supported plan is just fine. Go down to the ad-supported plan of Hulu, and I would say the same reason. There, just take a look at all the streaming apps that you pay for and the value proposition they bring. Right now, there are, I would say, 2.5 apps that I think bring value at the full price that you'd pay for them. First is HBO Max, and you know, HBO Max is one of the most expensive streaming services out there, but they are consistent in the kind of programming that they deliver. The exclusives that they have out there and the catalog that they offer is really, really worth it. The second, I would say, is Apple TV Plus. And I've also picked on Apple TV Plus a lot over the years, but here's the bottom line when it comes to Apple TV Plus. It's like $5 a month, and you do get a lot for $5 a month. I wouldn't necessarily pay $15 a month for it, but $5 is probably about the right amount to pay for this particular service. The half that I would say is Paramount Plus. I hate paying for Paramount Plus because the only thing I watch in Paramount Plus is usually Star Trek stuff. And lately I've been watching The Offer, but it's not a must watch. And so you pay a lot for one show at a time, basically. That's why it's only a half, kind of a limp endorsement of this particular app. Just get rid of most of the rest of them. They're not worth it. I will say that if you like the shows on Starz and Showtime, you can usually get deals on them if you wait around, if you pay attention. I wanted to say one more thing about Apple TV Plus, which is that if you are not an Apple guy or lady or whatever you choose to identify yourself as, I support you. That you can watch Apple TV Plus on Samsung TVs and Rokus and stuff like that, and it works just the same. So you don't have to be an Apple person if you don't want to be. Once you have saved yourself likely $50-$60 by cutting out streaming services that you're not really going to watch, then get back on with DirecTV or Dish. Get on with satellite because there's a ton of programming out there, a ton of on-demand stuff out there. All the local channels. You get a lot more local channels if you go through satellite than if you do through any streaming service. And that's true in practically any market. And you know, you will get your own DVR, which you can keep stuff forever. It doesn't fall off after 90 days. You get a nice clean installation, and there's a lot of pluses to it. Not to mention that if you have a streaming subscription to some of these other apps like, TBS or Discovery Plus or whatever, you probably don't need it if you have satellite. Why? Because you can authenticate. You can sign in with your satellite TV subscription to a lot of apps and get them for free. Not only that, but DirecTV is right now working on rolling out a streaming box version of their DirecTV app. Is something that I forecasted a long, long time ago, and they're finally getting ready to do it, meaning that you can essentially watch the same programming that you'd get on DirecTV Stream. And so you have the choice. You have the choice of satellite or streaming, where if you just go with DirecTV Stream, your only choice is streaming, and therefore you don't have a backup. The internet does go down sometimes, and there's reasons that you wouldn't want to have all your eggs in the internet basket. You might want to just have that satellite dish for when you want it and need it. It's going to be more reliable for you in an emergency when internet lines tend to go down. It's just a better deal all around. And this is one of those things where I have to say I've been a satellite subscriber for it'll be 20 years very soon, and I've been very happy. There have been some times I thought to myself, okay, well, am I really getting the value out of this? And when I thought to myself, am I getting the value out of it? The answer is I get the value that I choose to get out of it. A lot of times I'll stream something so that I can avoid the commercials, or I'll stream something because it's easier. I will fully admit that the search experience on the old DirecTV app was not as good as searching using the streaming apps and stuff like that. But, there's just so much on satellite out there. There's so much content. You just don't feel like you're leaving a whole lot behind. It's just something to think about because, I hate to say it, but the world's a much more expensive place now than it was not that long ago. You might not have as much disposable income if you're paying a ton of money for gasoline and food that you weren't paying before. So, think about what really drives value for you. And I think that if you really consider it, you're going to realize it's pay television. And if you're into getting pay television, I hope that you'll give the folks at Solid Signal a call. They pay for this podcast, they pay my salary, and I tend to be inclined to be very grateful for that. If you are interested, you can get much, much better customer service by calling 888-233-7563 than you would get if trying to go through the main numbers. You'll get the same television experience, and you'll just get a person who pays attention, speaks your language, and just gets it done for you. That's 888-233-7563. That's about it for the podcast. I didn't want to say goodbye without a shout out to all of our active and retired military. On Memorial Day, we celebrate those soldiers, sailors, and other members of the military who didn't make it home. Maybe that's someone in your family. Maybe it's somebody that you know. And for those who literally gave it all, left it all on the battlefield to be, we are all in the debt of those brave individuals. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I hope that you all have a wonderful week. I will see you again next time on the Solid Signal Podcast.